Hello, welcome back to Smaily podcast. Today we don't have Erki here, we don't have Tanel here. Instead, we have Stella here.
Hello. So usually I'm behind the camera, you don't see me. Maybe you have heard my voice before, but I actually do social media management for Smaily. I manage all the social media channels that we have. And also usually I film the podcast, but now you can see that we have much better quality, much better voice, because we have new cameraman and I can be here. And today we are actually going to talk about QA testing.
Exactly, and Stella has been listening to all of our podcasts anyway, plus she has actually implemented all the knowledge, so she knows exactly what she's talking about.
Yes, and I also read a lot of emails, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So QA testing is a really essential part of any email, and to make sure that you actually know why you are sending a campaign, how you send it out, and what will be the outcome, Smaily has actually put together a checklist of all the steps you need to take before sending out an email. And today we are concentrating on the QA parts, but actually the checklist is much longer, and Stella will add this link later to the podcast as well, so you can actually see it. So let's start. So let's imagine you have already put together a really nice template. You have some texts there, you have pictures there, you have CTA buttons there, and you have also added all the necessary subject lines, sender names, and now you think, yes, I'm ready to send out a campaign. Should you do it?
Well, probably not, because you have to test it first. But
Exactly.
If you have tested it, then you can send it out.
So first step, before hitting the send button, you should test it. And how you test it, you just send the same campaign into your own mailbox. And when you had done that, what are the three first things that you look for?
Well, I usually go to my own inbox and then I see sender's name, subject line, and pre-head text.
Exactly. And you make sure that there are no typos there. That all the letters are there, that it looks nice, the commas and the dots, everything is there.
Yes, and also if there are emojis, please check that the emojis are actually there and they are what you want them to be. So if you want it to be a heart, it probably has to be a heart.
Yes, and if it shows a question mark, then it means that the emoji doesn't work for email, so you have to replace this emoji.
Yes.
So the next thing, if you have checked that all those three works are correct, then you click on the email and
then I read what's in the email. So first there's usually some picture, or it's just like hello there, hello Stella, hello, and then text.
Yes, so you go through all the text you have written inside the email. You check for all the spelling mistakes, all the tonal voice mistakes, that you make sure that for example, if you want in one place you use you, then in the next place you don't use they, for example. So make sure that the language is all the same throughout the email. Make sure that there are no Laura Ipsum text or other replacement texts that you maybe thought that I will fill it in later, but you forgot. It happens sometimes, but if you check it out before sending the campaign out, then you can still fix it. The next thing you should check out are CTAs. How do you do that?
Well, you just have to click on every CTA that you have, then you can see where it goes. Does it go to the right place or not? And it's actually super simple. It seems kind of like boring thing to do, but it's really important.
It really is. Sometimes, for example, for me, it has happened that I copy a link, but for some reason I have copied the link partially only, so that maybe the last letter is missing, and if I click on it, obviously the link doesn't work. So make sure you check that all those links are correct and working and lead to the place where you actually want them to lead. It also has happened that, for example, people make copies of previous campaigns and they just forget to replace
the new link.
The links, yes. So you accidentally send people to the old newsletter link, and that should not happen.
Yes, it has actually happened to me, and people have written to me that is it the right place? should it go somewhere else? And then it's usually really awkward for me.
It happens, but again,
Yes.
if you test your email out and actually do this boring task of clicking through every link, then you can avoid it.
Yes.
The next thing, make sure that all the images in the email look beautiful, stunning, adorable.
Yes, and I think what's really important is that it looks really good on all of your devices. On your laptop, on computer, on mobile phone, and especially if you have text over there. In computer it may look like really good, but if you look at that in your telephone, then the picture is smaller and maybe you can't even read the text over there.
Exactly, and it sometimes can happen that some of the pictures are skewed or somehow compressed together weirdly, so make sure that it hasn't happened to your email. Another really important thing regarding pictures is make sure you also have alternative text under your pictures.
Yes, it's really important because some people, they don't let download the images, or they have they can't actually see it.
Yeah, and if your image doesn't show and your main message is just on the image and you don't use the alternative text, then people just miss out what you are actually going to say in this email. And also it's really important because there are visually impaired people who actually don't see pictures and they let machines read the email, and machines don't read pictures, they only read alternative text.
Yes. Also, it's really important that if you put a link behind the picture, then the link works and it's the right link. Because usually what has happened to me is that I duplicate the template and you have to like change all the links there also. And I have been in the other part where I'm in my mailbox and I accidentally click the picture and it leads to somewhere, I don't know, like the wrong place. So even if it was an accident, maybe I would have bought something, but I didn't.
Know. You didn't
Yes.
know.
So it's really important that the links behind the images are also correct.
So once you have made sure that the template looks good, you have checked the spelling mistakes, the picture is nice, and all the CTAs are actually working, then you have made sure that your template is working in your own mailbox. But if you have made your own HTML, then you should check out that the same HTML is also working in other devices and other browsers. So there is a really good tool, this is called testi.at, and you can just paste your HTML there and it will do a test for you which will show how your email HTML renders on different devices, different browsers, for example in how it looks on Gmail, how it looks on Outlook, and how it looks on Android or Apple phone. And this is the test you should do to make sure that everything looks good. Also, it shows you how your email looks without any pictures in it. So make sure that you check this one out as well. So you have now checked that the email is correct, working. Next thing you should do is reply to your own email.
Can you do that?
Can you do that? Exactly. Will it lead somewhere, and will it actually go to the correct email address? Because there are actually marketers out there who use no reply as a reply address, and what happens then?
Then you can't reply.
Exactly, and you will miss out all the good replies that you could otherwise get. I have actually had a client who said in the email, please reply to us so that we can give you a price inquiry, and then they forgot to add the reply address.
Yes, and I think this is like the number one tip that Erkki, Tanel and Viivika like says basically every podcast and every time.
So you have, use it
Yes.
wisely. So the next tip is my personal favorite one because I see this mistake happening a lot. Can you guess what it is?
I think it's related to personalization.
You are correct. You are correct. So what happens is that there are many marketers out there who want to personalize the email by saying at the top of the email, for example, hello Stella. And if it somehow happens that Stella's name is not on in the database,
then it may review like hello nothing, or hello first name, hello last name.
And it looks really weird.
Yes, and I have actually seen in a Facebook group where like big companies may have done that, and they put like screenshot over there, and people are like really pissed about that.
Yes, so how you can actually avoid that mistake is first of all, if you ever use any merge tag, then you have to include a fallback option there. Fallback option is the thing that if there is no name in the database for your email marketing campaigns, then it will replace it with a general word. For example, instead of saying hey Stella, it says hello friend or something similar. And you should always test it with different email addresses which have different names attached to it in the database, and also always test without any name so that you see if you actually have implemented the fallback correctly or not.
Yes, I think it would be even worse if you have like some word like customer, but it looks like you have made some other mistake there.
Yeah, spelling mistake or something.
Yes.
Exactly. So this is something that you should always check out.
Yes, and the last one I think is also really important, and it's something that we never have thought about it before, but Viivika saw it on Smaily's blog.
Thank you, Laura.
Yes, and it's that if you're doing an A/B test, test both of these letters.
Exactly, because I'm also a marketer, so how I usually do it is that I make this template ready, it looks perfect, and I then make a copy of it. So I have both A and B versions ready. And then I test the A version and I see some mistakes there, I correct the mistakes, and in the B version I forget. So that's why you should always test out both versions to make sure that there are no mistakes on either of them.
Yes.
And we have some final good words. Never assume that once you have sent out the template once, then if you reuse it and use it the second time, that it will look exactly the same, because most probably it doesn't.
Yes, so test and test.
And that means that you should not test just the template, but before each send out of the same version of the template, test it, because it might look really, really different. Thank you, Stella. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. For everybody to know who is watching this on YouTube right now, we actually, thanks to Stella here, we also have a Spotify channel, so you can actually listen to the podcast as well if you don't have time to look at them.
Yes.
And also follow us on all sorts of other Stella managed
social media channels. So subscribe us on here YouTube. You can now follow us at Spotify, and also Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and TikTok.
Do you say LinkedIn?
LinkedIn also. Yes, LinkedIn, Smaily's and Tanel's. Tanel's is also really good.
Exactly. And see you next time. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.